Good evening, I'm Nev Van Pelt and thank you for joining us. The sun was shining for the final day of the Canadian Lakehead exhibition, which saw hundreds of visitors rush to the fairgrounds for the last time. Organizers are calling this year's fair a success, estimating 50 to 60,000 attendants over the 5 days. Jessica Clement reports.
Thousands made their way to the CLE grounds for the last day of one of Northwestern Ontario's most popular summer events. The excitement on Sunday was contagious as kids, teens, and adults rushed around to get on the Zipper, Ring of Fire, G-Force, and other favorite rides for the last time. We spoke to some attendees and asked them what their favorite part of the CLE was.
Gotta be the Space Invader.
Oh, the food is pretty good. Probably the Orbiter, the Starship Invader, or the Ring of Fire.
My favorite ride was the yo-yo.
Probably the yo-yo. I liked the wind in my face.
Probably the Invaders, because it spins super fast.
I'm always partial to the Sea Ray every year, but I just went on the G-Force and I'm still feeling it. The food's always great too. That's another big selling point for me. But you know, it's always fun. I come every year and it's great.
The Canadian Lakehead exhibition was another success, with the fairgrounds seeing around 50 to 60,000 attendees over the past 5 days. Friday and Saturday saw a little bit of rain, but CLE spokesperson Tracy LaRocque says that didn't really dampen anyone's spirits.
For the overall entry into the gate, I think it's still pretty equal to what it was last year. We did see lower numbers at the food vendors and maybe lower turnout for the entertainment on the main stage. But the numbers coming through the gates, it's really hard to stop kids from wanting to go on rides, so they're going on rides regardless of the weather.
And while the rides are probably the biggest draw to the fair, the carnival games, food, exhibits, vendors, and main stage entertainment also brought in crowds. LaRocque says they're always trying to make the event bigger and better than the year before, and adds that planning for next year's fair starts right away.
Literally, we sit down with select shows in Canuck Amusements here tomorrow to start planning for next year. So it's a whole year work of of planning and organizing, and then it'll be shortly getting all the entertainment organized for the following year.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Thunder Bay City Council will meet tomorrow night for the first time in 3 weeks, and homeless encampments are back on the agenda. Last month, Council requested the distance guidelines for the tents to be greater than in the original policy, arguing they're not significant enough to make an impact. Council voted to have city staff look into 10-meter limits around trails, sidewalks, and parking lots rather than 5 meters. But city staff say after doing the mapping, that change isn't feasible, and they recommend sticking with the original distances. Meanwhile, DSAB Chair Brian Hamilton is asking Council to endorse the board's advocacy documents for increasing supportive housing and social assistance. Hamilton will be lobbying various ministries on those topics at the AMO conference next week. Thunder Bay's Dragons of Hope are gearing up for a competition later this month, with their eyes set on an international event in 2026. The team is made up of those diagnosed with breast cancer, with the goal of spreading awareness and raising money for those affected. Vasilios Bellos reports.
A local dragon boat team continues to inspire and support those affected by breast cancer.
All right, paddles up. Take it away.
The Dragons of Hope have been paddling for more than 20 years, comprised of breast cancer survivors and supporters. Their goal is to help out everyone with a breast cancer diagnosis in the community through various fundraising and emotional efforts.
It's just belonging to a sisterhood, really.
Sarah Vanderwees is the coach of the Dragons of Hope and talks about why the team has become so important for its members.
We stand up for each other and we support each other. And that's essential when you're going through a time like that, you know. And the reason I have paddlers that have been here for 25 years is because they love it and they love the support that they get.
A large part of being with the Dragons of Hope is competing in various events across the region, including the upcoming Lake Superior Dragon Boat Festival, taking place later this month.
Many of them come together at these festivals, so it's a sea of pink.
Assistant coach Janice Piper says the competitions are a great way to spread awareness about breast cancer. Piper explains what message she hopes to get across through these races.
Show people that have had a breast cancer diagnosis that you can really thrive and have an active life after breast cancer diagnosis. And we also know that Thunder Bay is behind us because They've always supported our team through our fundraising, and we're really grateful for that.
While the Dragons of Hope are very excited for some regional events this summer, they're gearing up for some even bigger races, including an international event in France in 2026.
The cost for these competitions is, especially France, is quite steep, but we do our best to try and compensate the paddlers. It's already tough enough that they have gone through or are going through breast cancer, but to, the cost of going to such an event, we try to help them out as much as we can.
Anyone looking to support the Dragons of Hope can do so through their website. You can also find them practicing every Tuesday at Boulevard Lake by the boat launch.
Friendships last forever. We are the Dragons of Hope.
Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
The Matawa Training and Wellness Center on Algoma Street has unveiled its new wellness garden. The Matawa Health Cooperative recently celebrated the grand opening of the new green space with bouncy castles, tie-dye, and games. Here's Joel Mendelson with more.
The new wellness garden was first conceptualized this winter and planting began in April. The space provides an eco-friendly source for food, medicinal herbs, and ceremonial plants. Local horticulturist Miles Armstrong explains how the practice is fully sustainable.
We're really working towards a closed-loop system where we're able to grow the things that we need, use the things that we grow very efficiently as we process and harvest them, using the compost, the organic matter, as you can see behind us, this giant compost pile to really build the soil, and then also collect the seeds and then really be ready to grow the following year. So that's what really kind of feeds back into the community and the environment.
Evan Wesley has helped Armstrong with the building over the summer. Wesley says it's rewarding to see everything come together.
Well, when I first got here, it looked a little not what you would expect. But then as time went on, it got so much better. And just being here with that experience, it's a super nice feeling. It's just awesome.
Wesley's experience with the garden is what organizers had hoped for. The space not only provides a sustainable food source, but also a place for Matawa members to gather, clear their minds, and learn new skills. Matawa owns more greenhouses in other communities. Armstrong says this project could be replicated elsewhere.
It will directly impact people tremendously, and the ripple is large because, again, staff are coming out, they're being involved, they're volunteering, they're getting inspired. This is something of a pilot project to then take out to the other domes, in places that this can be really of high value. So
there are over 150 different species of plants in the wellness garden. Its impact is already being felt for Matawa members as vegetables grown in the garden are used in their daily meals. Joel Mendelson, TBT News.
The Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources is supporting 28 new collaborative projects to help combat the spread of an invasive plant. One of those projects is being led by the Lakehead Region Conservation Authority. Invasive Phragmites are a perennial grass species that has been damaging ecosystems in Ontario for decades. The plant spreads quickly and aggressively and is capable of outcompeting the native species for water and nutrients. $650,000 will go toward mapping and monitoring the existing areas across northern Ontario and using herbicides to eliminate the plants. These photos show the before and after at a spot near Island Drive. LRCA watershed biologist Jesse McFadden explains why Phragmites are Ontario's worst invasive species.
It likes to take over very sensitive habitats, so wetlands, shorelines, and spaces where species at risk and a lot of wildlife depend. It's not offering any what we would call ecosystem value or wildlife habitat value, so the seeds aren't a very valuable or nutritious food source, and it's displacing the native species that other animals depend on.
The ultimate goal is to establish the foundation for an invasive species management map in order to lessen the negative impact that Phragmites cause to the ecosystem. The weather was perfect for the Live from the Rock Folk Festival, which wrapped up today. The three-day event had a number of musicians hit the stage, and Sunday's set started off with a performance by singer-songwriter Ian Tamblyn.
No, it has been lost.
This year's festival saw 18 groups and musicians performing on the festival's 3 stages, with the lineup including traditional folk groups, blue bands, and singer-songwriters. An artisan village was also on site, featuring 18 artisans selling their wares. Despite the rain on Friday and Saturday, artistic director Ellie Toes says the turnout was great, with hundreds coming out to hear the music. She says it's wonderful to see the type of dedication and support from the community.
You know, really, it's the whole community that we do it for. You know, the musicians are part of that community, the volunteers are part of that community, the sponsors, the funders, but the people that come to see all of this taking place, that's what it's for. It's to see the joy on their faces and the kids dancing and people meeting new people.
The paper mill's gone, and yet the community continues to have a heart and spirit and presents this festival, you know, through the volunteers and everyone, and it's almost against all odds. So it's quite an amazing thing.
We're now joined by sports anchor Joel Mendelson. And Joel, lots of fun things happening around the city. The Live from the Rock, we have the Border Cats wrapping up their season, CLE, but obviously back to the Border Cats. We're talking sports now. I can't believe the season's already over.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate, also because it kind of means the summer's over, right?
I know, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's really sad, but we'll have more on the Border Cats when we come back from the break.